In an instant, they were gone. 115 individuals swallowed by this barren island. No screams, no struggle, just silence. What happened to the Roanoke Colony? A cryptic message carved in wood. 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐤. Was it a desperate plea, a scary clue, or a mocking farewell? Centuries later, the puzzle remains unsolved. Welcome to Mystery. In this video, we'll dig into the clues, chase different theories, and imagine what might have happened to those brave souls who called Roanoke home. Come along on this adventure to unravel history. Prepare to discover the mysteries of Roanoke Island, where the past is still buried. The year is 1587, North Carolina's lush coast. Hopeful dreams are painted on the faces of 115 men, women, and even children. This is Roanoke Colony, the first attempt at a permanent English foothold in the New World. How did they get here? England was enthusiastic about discovering and conquering new territory in the late 16th century. Queen Elizabeth I supported bold explorers like Sir Walter Raleigh because she was eager to grow her realm and take on competitors like Spain. In addition to seeking wealth, his goal of founding a permanent colony in North America was to lessen Spain's move to the New World. Queen Elizabeth II's favorite and well-known courtier, Sir Walter Raleigh, was granted permission to build a colony in North America in 1584. Raleigh provided funding for the first attempt at Roanoke in 1585, sending more than 100 inhabitants to this fertile island off the coast of modern-day North Carolina. But it wasn't an easy existence. Resources brought about clashes between the colonists and the Native Americans in the area, and internal strife made survival even more difficult. They were forced to return to England by 1586, leaving their dreams behind. Raleigh made another attempt in 1587 with a smaller group under the command of John White, unfazed. This time, Raleigh wanted to create a permanent community of men, women, and kids. White, an ethnographer and scientist who had already sketched his expedition, was to lead the group. The group included White's pregnant daughter, Eleanor, and her husband, Ananias Dare. The troops rebuilt the fort and other structures that the former men had left behind after being forced to reside on Roanoke Island. In August 1587, Virginia, Eleanor's first child, was born and was the first English kid in North America. The colonists could not grow enough food for themselves since they arrived too late in the growing season. White needed supplies, so he had to return to England. He left in 1588 to come back in a few months, but that was not possible. The expedition was postponed for years due to the Spanish Armada's threat to England. By the time he finally reached Roanoke in 1590, he found the settlement eerily deserted. So the mystery began. Where did the Roanoke colonists go? What happened to them? These questions are what we'll be exploring in our journey into the mystery of the Roanoke colony. Amidst tension between England and Spain in the late 16th century, Philip II of Spain prepared to attack England with the mighty Spanish Armada. Sir Walter Raleigh tried to send relief ships to Roanoke Island for the main time, but their departure was delayed due to the impending danger from Spain. In 1590, Governor John White went back to Roanoke Island, his heart full of optimism for the colonists he left 3 years earlier. But instead of a bustling life, he found an uncomfortable silence. Gardens were overgrown, houses were empty, and the terrifying realization that Roanoke had been abandoned started to sink in. Panic turned to desperation as White looked for any signs of his people. His only leads came from two mysterious inscriptions on the island, CRO, scribbled on a tree, and 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐿 engraved clearly on a post. These words, whose significance has been lost to time, became the foundation upon which countless theories have been built. This unanswered mystery has captured people's attention for centuries. Many theories, from the possible to the extreme, have been proposed. Some think the 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐿 message hinted at the possibility that the colonists blended in with the nearby Native American tribes. Others argue that their absence was due to harsh living conditions, illness, starvation, or hostilities with nearby tribes. Will we discover a conclusive solution? But by exploring the many scenarios, we might better understand the enduring mystery of Roanoke. Let's delve into the most compelling theories regarding the Roanoke colony's disappearance. Theory 1. Assimilation theory. Did the colony find a family in the 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐿 people? This theory suggests a peaceful merge between lifestyles and cultures. As to this theory, the colonists might have moved south to Hatteras Island, the home of the 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐤s, because of their friendly trading relations that had been developed. This notion is supported by historian Cindy Paget's research on the indigenous peoples of the area and John White's notebooks. When White returned to the colony in August 1590, he discovered it to be abandoned, with overgrown fields and abandoned cabins. But rather than becoming alarmed or thinking the worst, White read the hints left behind differently. White assumed that the settlers had moved to 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿 Island with an Indian friend because of the letters CRO carved into a tree trunk and the word 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿 engraved in a fence post. This interpretation was even more supported by the absence of a Maltese cross, which White and the colonists had agreed to carve on a visible object if they faced a difficult situation and needed to relocate. If they are okay, then why would they post a distress signal? Theory 2, disease theory. But what if the story didn't end warmly? The disease theory paints a darker picture. Imagine this: a small, remote village that is hit by a deadly infection. Symptoms spread like wildfire, and the community is overcome with terror. The colonists who were still alive might have been compelled to leave the town in search of a new location as a result. Historian Peter Miles supports this theory by drawing comparisons between the accounts of John Smith, an early Jamestown leader, and Thomas Harriot's writings, which detailed the disease's symptoms and severity. Who's at fault? Maybe influenza, based on recorded symptoms, mortality rates, and transmission patterns reported in historical accounts. Miles draws this conclusion. However, since there are no physical remnants that may attest to the illness, this notion has its plot twist. Theory 3, internal conflict. Why would hopes for a fresh start suddenly give way to the harsh realities of life? The internal conflict theory suggests that the colonists were engulfed by their internal turmoil as tempers were rising and rebellion was growing. The new settlement's harsh conditions and scarcity of resources might have worsened already existing tensions. In tough situations, arguments about who's in charge, how to share resources, or other problems could have gotten worse. Big fights or a rebellion, in which some settlers turned against the leaders, could have resulted from this. The colony might have collapsed due to instability brought on by the fighting. Though there isn't much evidence to support this theory, it makes sense because life was hard for the colonists in a new and tough place. Theory 4, Spanish invasion. Shadows of Spain hover around the colony in this theory. The Roanoke Colony may have disappeared as a result of a covert operation carried out by Spanish soldiers in the late 16th century due to the competition between Spain and England. Why? To destroy any Native American friendships, seize resources, and sabotage English ambitions. While rumors of Spanish ships nearby add spice to the story, there's no concrete evidence. It's difficult to determine the true fate of the lost colony when there are so many interesting theories circulating. Jamestown was founded in 1607, close to the Chesapeake Bay, by Captain John Smith. This was a location that was thought to be safer for ships to navigate than Roanoke Island, and protected from Spanish attack. It was also taken out of the Native American villages where the English had previously engaged in conflict. It was not until Jamestown was founded in 1607 that the lost colony of Roanoke was searched for with serious efforts. Imagine the early Jamestown settlers setting out to find out what happened to their predecessors. Talking with Native Americans, they learned amazing stories about tribes that dressed like Europeans and could read English. There were also rumors of colonies to the south with homes that resembled Roanoke. These stories sparked imaginations and piqued interest. Some started to think that the colonists from Roanoke had just joined friendly Native American tribes and assimilated into their way of life. A new tribe, the Lumbee tribe, with roots in central North Carolina, arose over time when colonists and Native Americans married and centuries went by. As time passed, the disappearance of the lost colony piqued the curiosity of more people. On Hatteras Island, close to Roanoke's coastlines, years of careful archaeological digs have produced a riddle. Scott Dawson, an archaeologist and researcher, led this excavation. They have found English sword bits mixed in with glass beads, carved arrowheads, and pieces of native pottery. Dawson argues that these are signs of cohabitation rather than traces of conflict. Dawson searches through historical records and finds Governor White's story of discovering the words 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿 engraved on a post. Is this a hint that points to a fresh start? Additional evidence that the Roanoke colonists may have left their settlement to join the 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿 tribe comes from documents from the Jamestown colony. Next comes a story from explorer John Lawson about blue-eyed Aboriginal people who said their ancestors could speak out of a book. Even though the evidence is strong, it needs to be carefully examined. Although the archaeological discoveries point to shared areas and cohabitation, there isn't any hard evidence in the form of skeletal remains. The story of Roanoke Colony offers insight into human nature, in addition to being a mystery. It talks about resilience, adaptation, and the complex dance of civilizations. Was it something else entirely? Or was it really integration, as Dawson suggests? One thing is certain, despite all of the discussion and thorough investigation. We still don't know for sure what happened to the 115 colonists who disappeared in 1590. While popular theories offer intriguing possibilities, they lack the actual data needed to be pronounced conclusive. We still have a lot of unanswered questions regarding the mystery surrounding Roanoke Colony. Did the colonists move to a new location, encounter too many difficulties, or vanish for reasons beyond our comprehension? It's difficult to find the truth, therefore we're not sure. Though Roanoke's truth may be concealed, the process of discovery for us has only just begun. What do you think happened to the Roanoke Colony? Share your theories in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you can join us as we continue to learn and uncover the secrets of the past.